Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and this time we're talking about the possibility of Nintendo updating their online service again later this year. And this time I'm sort of thinking that what we might be seeing is Game Boy Advance games being added to the Nintendo Online library. Now, to be clear, this is totally speculation, but I do think it kind of makes sense, so that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Now before we jump into things, let me very quickly talk about my social media. You may see a few different things here on screen. You can check that all out. It is linked in the description below. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here, you can subscribe. So today, probably, is going to be a very simply edited video. I really just thought about making this right before going to work, so here it is. You might just see me playing Metroid Fusion in the background, so forgive me if that's not good enough, but I wanted to talk about this. So recently, I have started playing Metroid Fusion, and I think it is awesome. I think it is great. A lot of people have started playing Metroid Fusion or Metroid Zero Mission through the Wii U eShop. Why? Because Metroid Dread is on the way, and a lot of people want to play more Metroid. There's this excitement for Metroid now with Metroid Dread coming, and everyone's trying to play Metroid in different ways. Samus Return sales have gone up on the 3DS. Metroid is just doing really well right now. But there isn't any sort of modern way to play a Metroid game but Super Metroid through Nintendo Online. So it gets me thinking, when I look through the Wii U eShop of the Game Boy Advance games you can play, there's quite a library there. Mario Kart Super Circuit, Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, WarioWare, F-Zero Maximum Velocity, Advance Wars, Golden Sun, Yoshi's Island, Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Fusion. It's quite a library of games, an excellent library of games that I think would fit really well on Nintendo Online. They are basically Super Nintendo games just made for a handheld years into the future where the technology was comparable and the games are just as good. So there's quite a library there, and it's something that Nintendo could easily fall back on if they ever needed to add some great sort of legacy content to whatever platform they're trying to support. Right now, they're trying to support Nintendo Switch Online. Every year, around September or so, we usually see them do some sort of update. We've seen them add Super Nintendo games, we've seen them add Tetris 99. Usually this happens around the time that there are new subscriptions for Nintendo Online, because when it initially released, it was around that time of the year. People usually get it for a year, and Nintendo does something to try and keep people using Nintendo Online. So the idea that Nintendo this time around would add some sort of new content to Nintendo Online to retain their memberships, that is not at all crazy, because that's usually how it goes. The question is, what will be their strategy this time around? Are they just going to settle for NES and Super Nintendo games, or will they expand upon that library? And if they do, which platform are they going to go to first? Are they going to go to Nintendo 64, GameCube, Wii, or Game Boy or Game Boy Advance? There's a few different directions they could go, and it just doesn't have to be legacy games. They could do a whole bunch of other things. They could add another 99 game, or something entirely different. That's also a possibility here. The sky's the limit, really. And before we jump into specifically why I feel like the Game Boy Advance legacy games make the most sense right now, let's talk about another interesting wrinkle here that I think is definitely worth considering. So throughout this year, Nintendo is seemingly taking steps to improve upon their online setup. We saw them change around their servers. We've seen Monster Hunter Rise come out. It's playing beautifully well online, perhaps better than any other Nintendo game. We saw them add online support to Super Mario Party Online, which in hindsight was very clearly to sort of do a bit of a stress test for Super Mario Party All-Stars, but that's the point. They're building things up, they're testing things out. Splatoon 3 is coming, a sequel to a big online game. It is seeming like Nintendo is building things up. And when you take into consideration that there also have been these big rumors of some sort of Nintendo-Microsoft collaboration that is supposed to be announced this fall, the ideas start spinning and rotating around. It's getting kind of crazy with the different possibilities here. What if there is some sort of Game Pass or xCloud sort of collaboration with Nintendo? What if Nintendo intends on some sort of service like this that's powered by Microsoft to improve upon their online experience? Dare I speculate that maybe Nintendo will offer a better sort of online system with invites and communication that's integrated into the Switch itself? I'm not saying that's for sure going to happen, but what if it is? And I'll also bring up that there are the reports of the Switch revision coming. I know a lot of people have sort of given up on it already because it hasn't been announced yet, but again, the timing of these things is always challenging. However, both Eurogamer and Bloomberg have said that the system is supposed to come out this year. They speculated that it would likely be announced before E3. That did not happen, but that doesn't mean it can't still come out this year. And while there may not be like a big Legend of Zelda game to really push the sales of this system, maybe they have other ideas in mind. Improved games, enhanced games that have already existed. Perhaps Breath of the Wild and Smash and Mario Kart all get little 4K updates and perhaps a little bit of extra content, who knows. But maybe in conjunction with that, this system has a revamped online system, and sure, they still make patches so the base Switch owners still have that, but they also have a revamped online system where maybe they do have some sort of crazy collaboration with Microsoft. These are possibilities. Now, I'm not saying this is what is going to happen, but they are considerations. They are some of the possibilities that may occur later this year. So I've discussed fall, I've discussed September. Why do I think something is happening around that time? Well, historically speaking, that's usually when we get the next Nintendo Direct, the one that follows the E3 Direct, the September Direct. That's usually when it happens. That also falls in line with when Nintendo has to get sort of more players to maintain or retain their Nintendo Online memberships. It's a good opportunity to announce a few more things. Which brings me to this speculation about maybe Game Boy Advance. Firstly, it's been long rumored that eventually Nintendo Online would be getting Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. It kind of feels like something that you would see before Nintendo 64 games. While I would love to see Nintendo 64 games and GameCube games, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance seem like something that's easier to get done, and there's a lot of really good games out there that they could add. And when you consider the kind of games that are coming out this year, it might make a lot more sense to bring out these kind of games. We're getting a new WarioWare game. We're getting a new Advance Wars or a reimagining of Advance Wars 1 and 2 with Reboot Camp. And these franchises got their start on Game Boy Advance, Advance Wars and Advance Wars 2 and WarioWare. People may want to go back and play some of the older versions, especially with these popular games now coming out. But when I say popular, I'm not trying to say that they are the most successful games, but they're relatively known Nintendo published games that are going to be coming out that fans will be excited for because they're some of the games Nintendo is pushing right now. But the big one is Metroid. Metroid Dread is coming on October 8th. So how ideal would it be if this September we get a Nintendo Direct and they announce Nintendo Online is getting more content, and with that new content comes Game Boy Advance games, and some really big Game Boy Advance games are Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission, which right now are top of the bestseller charts on the Wii U eShop. People want to play these games. So if you get more Metroid games on the Nintendo Switch, people are going to play them. There'll be some excitement there. It makes a lot of sense. And timing-wise, I think it would work out really well. It's right before the release of Metroid Dread, so this might be happening. Now again, this is speculation. There are a number of possibilities. It doesn't have to happen this way. I don't have any really strong, compelling evidence. It's just something that sort of seems to fit. It sort of seems to make sense. But sometimes that's all you really need to do. Perhaps Nintendo feels the same way. Perhaps they see that they have these games coming out like Advance Wars and WarioWare and Metroid, and perhaps the best sort of lamp to put on Nintendo Online to capitalize on that is the Game Boy Advance lineup. Now I know other people prefer to see maybe GameCube or N64 games, and I would love to see those games added as well, but I'm not sure that's necessarily Nintendo's plan. Those games are maybe a little bit bigger, perhaps a repackage in another sort of kind of way. Maybe we do see a return of Virtual Console to some extent. After all, with Super Mario 3D All-Stars, they built actual emulators for these games. It almost seems like they're trying to set up a system that they could use to do for other sort of older games and bring them to Switch and have them be playable in HD to some capacity. Maybe that is a plan for Nintendo. It would explain why Nintendo is no longer shipping new copies of 3D All-Stars or allowing it to be bought on the eShop. At first, it was meant to be a compilation celebrating Mario's anniversary, but moving forward, games like what we saw in 3D All-Stars and other franchises going beyond just Mario will get that sort of treatment and be added to the Nintendo Switch eShop in some way. That could also be a part of Nintendo's plan, and maybe it does sort of impact when we see Game Boy Advance games. Hard to say, but you know, right now, I feel like it would be very fitting to see games like Advance Wars and WarioWare and Zero Mission and Fusion added to Nintendo Switch Online, because we are getting these games this year and people are excited for them, so they want to play the prior ones. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm onto something here? Do you guys have different ideas or more perspective that could add more credence to my theory? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.